I suggest to form 4 or 5 groups. One group is here, our group, Italian and Bulgarian, because there are similarities between the learning plans about decision trees and prologic and machine. So I like very much this concept. Yes, so okay. The next group, I think it is the Portuguese Hellenic, because there are several Hellenics not here, but the next group is Kyriakos with our colleague from and the other group can be Romanian with Hara and also Cosadinos. So I think we are nice to
how many activities?
starting with the first one, recall with pixels from prompts. This is about using generative models or generative images from written prompts, of course. The idea is we propose to use this Hugging Face platform. Actually, it can be used for a lot of other different types of models, not only the generative ones. If you go to those, you will find that the models are organized by category. You can use them online, so it's very easy. You don't have to do any coding if you don't want to. You can ask students start using them, and, for instance, generating images, or there are models, for instance, for translation, for generating labels from images, so all sorts of different things. If you go to the link, you will see that the models are all organized by category. And they are very easy to use. And the idea here would be, I have done this a few times with my students, to have them generate images for whatever prompts they want. And then, from my perspective, I'm interested in teaching them from a high-level point of view how these models work. So, things that you can do, for instance, you can talk about bias with them on models. So there are cases in which you for certain prompts, you will see that the images are very biased towards something. Okay, so one classical example that we use here the image of three little pigs. This is just an example. You cannot see it so well, but on the interface that it's very easy to do. You just have to write a prompt that in after a few seconds it generates the image. But for instance, if I, one of the examples that I tend to use, if I search for three little dogs, I will see images with three dogs in them. Usually, not always, it depends on the model and everything, but usually photorealistic images of three dogs. If it's three little pigs, I will get images such as these, which are probably biased towards the story and the books of the three little pigs. Okay, and this is an example of bias. We have a few others very quickly. So you can, I think we can use these with students so that they learn that these models don't actually create these from out of nowhere, but from the examples that exist. Other interesting things that happen that you can explore, for instance, in this case, as you can see here in the bottom, you can almost create three little things here. It's not exactly written like that, but these models sometimes start to produce images that resemble text. Okay, because they have gone through so much images with text, it's like they almost produce text. Although usually, I have never seen it exactly, but it reminds us of something like that. So these kind of things you can explore with students so that they learn that even if these models produce text that we can read, probably the text won't make any sense because they were not specifically trained to read the text. Other examples of this kind of bias, so for instance, if you generate images for Mona Lisa, most of the times they will look like this. So these are images that were generated by the model while it was called file over here. So it tends to generate the frame of the images as well. Some cases it has already happened to me that it generates the image with someone passing in front of the image, which is something that happens. For instance, these are, by the way, these are examples of if I search on Google Images, for instance, the kind of images that show up that somehow explain the results that we then get from the models. So it's very difficult for you to get images of the Mona Lisa in which there are people standing in front of it. So the only time I saw Mona Lisa live, I did something similar. So there was a long queue. It was the end of the day. I took a picture from far away, a lot of people in front of it. Sometimes the model generated as well. And I think these examples, you only need to be lucky when you generate them because this is bit random as well, so it doesn't always work like that. It tends to. This is, by the way, do you see any bias here? I searched, the prompt was just intelligence. Okay, so I asked the model to generate exactly the models, to generate whatever image for intelligence. Do you see any bias here? This is what I usually ask my students. The prompt was intelligence, just so generate images for intelligence. So things like this pop up.
So the question is it biased, the result? Yeah.
Yeah, so for these models, intelligence somehow is a white male with some age, sometimes something resembling a book, sometimes show up things like lab material, this kind of things, but most of the times with white men with some age. Okay? So these kind of things, I think they are very useful to transmit these ideas to students. Okay? So this will be the first one. Then we put as optional if you want to reverse search these images, which is also useful. So the reverse search on Google, so you can take the images and Google them, so that you can find a lot of similar images that somehow explain the behavior of these models and how we get these kind of results. Final example. I don't know if you have seen, but this model often generate as well images with watermarks. So these show you like these kind of things, Shutterstock and this kind of stuff. Images show you that these models also get these images that are often copyrighted and learn from them, and then from time to time they will generate these images with the actual trademark or copyright as the original websites, which is also interesting for the students to learn that sometimes these models learn from data that they should not be learning from. Okay, so these last ones are not so lengthy. So the second activity would be about machine learning, or not traditional machine learning. Here we propose to use this website, bigml.com, which is very useful. It's, by the way, the previous one is also free and available online. This one is also free and available online for doing machine learning. It's very easy to use because once you open it, you have already a few data sets available. So you don't even need to upload them, and then you can do all sorts of traditional tasks that are related to machine learning, such as training the model, splitting the data, evaluating the model, and then you can actually interact with the model and ask it to predict something. So in the case of the decision tree, which is what we have here, it will even ask you question by question. So what is, I don't know, this is the age of the person, what is the age, what is the weight, kind of thing that it will give you the prediction at the end. So I think it's very useful for the students to understand how these models work internally. And even if you have some more advanced students, so you can talk about performance metrics on how to evaluate models, this kind of things. It's very, very useful to do, and very, once again, you don't have to write a single line of code. The last one, a bit different, is also a tool that is available online for creating 3D models for objects that you might have lying around from pictures taken from a mobile phone. So you take, I don't know, a bottle, whatever you have in front of you, can take a lot of pictures around the object and you upload them, and it will create a 3D model of that object that then you can export for anything you want. So for instance, what we propose here, in case you have a 3D printer laying around, you can 3D print an object that you just created from pictures from your mobile phone. I don't know if 3D printers are very common or not in our schools. There are schools in which students have them, so you can do some of these things very easy. And that would be our two.
Thank you very much. Do we have questions?
May I ask you a question? You find photos sometimes maybe copyrighted or not. It's not clear, or it doesn't say. How do I know for sure? If I find a photo in Google, in search, does it mean it's clear or does it say that it's copyrighted?
No. I suppose you would have to visit the site to know if it's copyrighted or not. I suppose you would have to visit the site where the image is to know if it's copyrighted or not. But here the point is,
I press images and I see many images, and I can download them. Today we downloaded the images for AI. It's not clear if it's copyrighted. How can I find that?
usually I would say to visit the site because usually the information is there. So at the bottom, I don't know, it should depend on the site, but if it's copyrighted, at the end below the photo, it should say something about the type of copyright that it has and so on. But of course, these models don't distinguish between it. But here the interest is in more talking about models, completely ignore that and try to get everything, even if they should not. Sorry.
I give reference that this photo is taken from Google search. I didn't actually
I don't think I'm not a legal expert, but I don't think like Google is only the thing that facilitates you the access to the actual source. So
I wonder why Google
Google is not hosting the images. Google is just a way for you to access it. So they are just indexing. They are not actually hosting the image. Yeah. But they don't host it, so it's not a problem. They are just saying, okay, this image is there. If you want to use it from there. They are just pointing you in the right direction. But not a legal expert once again. So.
There's some photos. So we took some photos from the and we put them in the website of the. One day we received a letter from the lawyer from saying you use these photos, which are copyrighted, from February to May, refunds. It's 1,000 euros per month. And he sent an invoice to pay. So,
but in Google Images, you won't see that information. Yeah.
We have only 1,000 euros in our account. If you want to pay us, pay us. I told you.
Yeah.
I never had a reply.
Yeah. Yeah, but usually you have to go to each individual site where the actual photo is. If there is some information, it should be there. Sometimes it might not be. For instance, in Facebook, there is no information for each individual photo about the copyrights. It should be in the terms and conditions or something like that, I suppose. But I don't know. But it won't be for sure on Google Images because they are just indexing it and pointing to them.
When you search for image, you can choose on tools if it's Creative Commons or if it has rights or not. There is a checkbox on Google search. On search, tools, it's like tools, and then you have an option there. On search, so Google image. When you search, there is an option there, tools, and you can select if it's Creative Commons or the commercial license or other things. It says you can say right. Okay, I think also all this is free copyright to use in the library. What you have there.
These ones, I got them from Twitter, so I have no idea if I can use them. I suppose so, because it's a tweet, so I'm not using just a photo, but I suppose so. I can check.
Yeah, just double check and.
Okay. Yeah. The rest of the images are from these models that are generated, but I think all of them, all of these were generated by these models. This is the only one that was taken from Twitter. I suppose you can use them. The users are there, it's posts from Twitter, so I don't think it should be a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Colleagues, because our colleague is a biology professor, we took this theme as the main keyword. So first of all, we decided to make a video presentation using the DID, that software that offer us possibility to use a robot to register all the content of our video. The second application was generated with Trainees. It's a software that is used to recognize plants. The third one was a lead generation with crayon. And the fourth was PowerPoint generation using IE software. And in the end, we also thought that Kahoot test might be interesting for evaluation. In our first activity, we registered detail, gave here the link. I have to give you the permission if we have uploaded in Drive. So I'm not in front of the computer to show the video right now. The second activity, updated or uploaded in the PlantNet software many images, and the software told us which is the image that there is more corresponding to lavender, because we talk all the presentation we talk about lavender. So we uploaded many images, and only the correct images had, as you can see here, 82% match between plants. The third application was designed by Carol. We used some text like bee and lavender, lavender in front of school, lavender pictures, lavender, um, and they generate all these images. So maybe if we need to do something that is not, that cannot be used on internet, I mean, talking about GDPR, and if we have the copyright in this application, we have the copyright of the image, because all these images are generated by us today with trial. So we have the copyright. Okay? I mean, all the images in this PowerPoint are ours. We have copyright because they are all generated with the tools here with our colleagues. The fourth application, we generate a PowerPoint with, I don't know, is in Greek. I don't know. They ask me. We go over that, you can find the PowerPoint with all the presentation. Test with how many? 5 questions regarding lavender. And we try to use different tools. For the first part of our presentation is, let's say, for memorizing or presenting information. The other one is a little bit more interactive, because we ask kids to generate photos regarding lavender, or maybe to recognize the plant. And the third one is this one with PowerPoint is also somehow interactive, because if they generate a PowerPoint about lavender, then they can improve it, add something or delete something from the presentation. And in the end, let's make an evaluation to see if we remember something about lavender. On the steps of teaching. And the last one, the partnership. Thank you.
Okay, so anyways, we were from Ivana Postpol, our team, and also Kyriakos from the Cyprus Mathematical Society. And these are the 7 activities that we developed. The first one is very straightforward, and it's not that interesting. It's about students examining some tool that they might like, and then presenting it in front of the class. But because it's not that interactive, I will not be elaborating any further. The other ones are more interesting. The second activity is about storytelling, and it's called AI versus me. So when we planned these activities, what we had in mind is the students are in a classroom, they're in that environment, and they need to be engaged in something. It needs to be an interesting activity for them. So everybody loves stories. Everything makes up for a good story. And the idea here is for them to beat AI at storytelling. The way to do that is they get certain 5 words, 5 keywords, and they have to write down a short story, which is 50 words long. Now that they've done this, they ask an AI to do the same thing for them using ChatGPT, and then they compare and they vote for which one they like the most. They read them out loud. It's 50 words. This is basically 3 sentences, so it's nothing that hard to do, honestly. And they vote for which one they prefer the most. Then they asked the AI to do the same thing, to do the same prompt once again, to write down a short story using these 5 keywords to see if it tells the same story. Because if you have 5 keywords and you need to tell a story of a total of 50, there are not that many options, especially if you use very strong words. So this is, we think, an interesting activity to do in class. The second one is called examination, and it is using AI to examine students on the material covered in classes, and for that we have in mind to use Vices. What Vices does is you can upload your own book. For example, if you have an examination, if the teacher wants to do an examination in biology, they upload the biology book on Vices. Vices examines it, sees what's inside, gathers all that information, and uses it as the only resource for the examination. So that's something that could eliminate subjectivity in terms of teachers. Sometimes teachers, not all teachers, but some teachers might have favorites and so on. They might have some bias. This eliminates that by asking questions that are of some difficulty to each and every each student. Historical interviews is the fourth activity, and I think this is the most interesting one that we came up with. It's an interview that students are supposed to convey with a historical figure. And the way to do this is using an app called Hello History. Let's say you're a student and you're into Greek mythology. So what I did, and we didn't put any pictures because I did it on my phone because this app only exists for phones, at least to my knowledge. What I did is the following thing. I wanted to talk to Zeus. I wanted to interview Zeus and ask Zeus questions that might be interesting for my class, let's say. So once you open the chat with Zeus, as you can see here, this is that's my screen, and here is an image of Zeus, probably done by AI, I don't know. And then Zeus greets me with the following. Greetings to you, mortal. I am Zeus, the mighty king of all gods and goddesses in Greek mythology. My power is unrivaled, my wisdom unmatched, and my majesty undeniable. Then I had I asked him some questions. You have a total of 23 questions. But my final one was, what do you think about artificial intelligence? Because, all of the other questions were trivial. They were about mythology, things that we all know. Everyone knows about Greek mythology to some extent. So to that question, Zeus answered, artificial intelligence is a fascinating creation of humans, mortal. While I do not have direct control over it, I believe that it has the potential to greatly benefit humanity in many ways. However, like all creations of mortals, it must be used responsibly and ethically to ensure that it does not bring harm or chaos to the world. Humans would do well to remember that they are still subject to the laws of nature and should use their technology wisely and with caution. And then it says, reference, Zeus. So I think that you could do this with a lot of historical figures. You could do this with people who did wars. By the way, the first thing I tried to do is find Hitler. I wanted to ask questions to Hitler, but they didn't have Hitler on the app. So then I moved to Zeus. I think that this could be a great exercise for history class and a great extracurricular to do, which will actually make history talk to students. The other one, tell the real from the fake. Basically, this involves some actions from the teacher. What the teacher has to do is the teacher has to use AI to Aiva or DALL-E 2 to create a music piece, let's say a classical music piece, that resembles the works of some composer that already exists and has some really good classical musical pieces. And then they play these two tracks, the original one and the one generated by AI. It should, of course, the one that's the original one should not be Four Seasons, for example. It should not be something that everyone has heard. And then the students have to compare the two and decide which they think is the fake one or the real one. And I think this may lead to really good discussions. Of course, the same can be done with DALL-E 2, with paintings in the style of some artists. The other one, we focused on history for some reason. Relative history. Basically, the idea is to visualize never seen before historical events. We know that, for example, from the ancient history, we might get the Acropolis, right? But we don't have any visualization of the actual events. We have the concepts of artists who read and then created these conceptual arts. Of course, there's the ancient art as well, but I'm talking about, let's say, some scenes from history that were not documented visually. So this exercise is to create presentations using images generated by DALL-E 2 to represent certain I don't know, events of history that have never been visually documented before. And the final one is also, I think, a really interesting one. Do you know what Model UN is? Model UN? All of you? No. Okay, so Model UN is a simulation for students. It basically mimics the way the United Nations work. You get, let's say, a group of 20 students. You present them with a problem, with a world crisis, and each student is a country. And they have to work together in order to solve this problem, this world crisis. So this is basically a minimization of your preparations. And it also removes the bias factor of the teacher, once again. So the way to do this is you need to pick your group of students. Once again, they're in a classroom, and you ask AI to generate a random world crisis scenario. This is what I did in ChatGPT, and once again, I will tell you just a few sentences of what it gave me. So I said, generate random crisis for Model UN. The crisis generated is a global energy crisis. It gives you background, and it gives you a crisis scenario. A series of catastrophic events have unfolded, exacerbating the existing global energy crisis. The crisis committee will stimulate a meeting of world leaders, policymakers, and experts from various countries to address the following events: natural disasters, conflicts in oil-producing regions, cyber attack on power grids, renewable energy supply chain, public health emergency, and so on. And they have a task, how to tackle these problems. Then, after we have the crisis and what it's going to be, I said, I have 20 students. They all have received numbers from 1 to 20. Assign countries to them to participate in the Model UN with the crisis you just generated. So I have a list now of 20 countries, and in the end of the list it says these countries represent a diverse range of geopolitical and economic positions, and their participation in the Model UN will be crucial in addressing the global energy crisis. So basically, they will then discuss the whole Model UN thing will happen the way it's supposed to happen. It has certain rules. It basically mimics UN in general. Then a resolution is going to be proposed to ChatGPT, and the goal is basically for ChatGPT to tell you that you have successfully tackled the world crisis. And that's it.
Thank you.
Is that the crew with Diana and Veronica? We have 4. The first one is a game. It is a famous game because it is a game at the Codog website. This is a very nice website, and I suggest to visit this. We have a lot of things and a very publicity. So, Diana proposed this site. The idea is about ecology and AI, and we use, there is a game, we can show here, this is something like a training, if this is a fish or a trash, okay, and you train very easily the software with trashes and fishes, and after you play the game, so there is a robot that can take the trash and put Anyway, okay, this is the idea. We can try this, and it's a nice. There are also other games. We are going to put also one or two other games in our presentation. Okay, so this is the second that we have will be presented by Veronica, and we try to play with this one. Okay, this is a teachable machine. This is not. I think that it is not a generative AI. If I am right, Konstantinos will correct me. This application is not generative because we try to train all images, all audio, and all pose. It would be nice to have with audio, but it is safe now to do an example with image. So I will try to teach two faces here. Here is the application, user, standard image model. Okay, I use the webcam of my computer, allow this, and now I will try to train the program with my face. So I record here. Okay, so stop. This is where do we stop? We come to stop here.
Στο ίδιο
Train model, sorry, train model. Okay. No?
Στο μπλε.
Okay, I go there. Okay, so. Okay, thank you very much. So, training. Okay, now, here, training, preparing training data, and now we are going to, preparing, yes, preparing. Okay. No, we have, we must wait. Okay, wait. Now, we are going to preview. Not yet. Okay. Okay, now, okay. Here is the class is
No
class.
You should
Oh, that's all.
face.
I am, yes, but also you.
Yes. It's not, will not be recognized.
You guys find which class?
Which class?
Two classes, so
Now, the two of us. Why? Konstantinos here. This is for you is the 100%, and for me it's also 100%. With two of us. Okay. Okay. This is the idea.
This activity is helping the student to understand the simple algorithm for image recognition works and to explain a little bit of neural network. Students are divided in three groups. One group takes care of the input layer. The second group takes care of the hidden layer, and then there is the output layer. we give them three images. They have to see the images, divide in pixels, transform the different images into layers. In the first layer, there will be the small square with only the white or
Yes.
Έτσι είναι ο υπολογιστής, τι να του κάνω εγώ, δεν είναι δικός μας. Τι θέλει να κάνει τώρα, να ανοίξει αυτό το link.
So these are the students who analyze the. They have to analyze the pictures, divide the component in pixels, create the vectors like this, like that, with just the white and the dark cells, attributes a number. For example, 0 for the white and 1 for the black one, and they will do for the three images. We did with the file in Excel. So with the Excel, the input will pass only the string with the numbers to the hidden layer. That will recollect and store only these strings. Then what happens is that we give another image to the input. The input will do the same exercise, so we'll transform the image in the string with numbers, and then the string will go to the hidden layer. The hidden layer will compare the strings. And according to the, you see the percentage here, we find the matching of the image. And then once we found the matching, the output layer will rebuild the images. And then we can have further experiment with a different image, just with the gray. So at that point, they have to understand how can we fix where is the problem. So in the input, they will have to choose if to give 0 or 1 to the gray area, or if we move the object on the corner of the paper, how can we adapt the strip? And it can be done only with the Excel exercise. When they have done all the study about the decision tree, they can just play with this. I see something different. Sorry. Okay. They play with this app. In this app, the app has stored all the images related to the food. Basically, we have all the food, and we have to decide if we have a pizza or not, according some characteristics. We will decide the accuracy of the test, and
we cannot say here, but there, we should be able to decide with characteristics. In this case, red sauce and cooked in pan, and we can test the test will understand that it's not a pizza, because the pizza is not cooked in pan, never. So for sure, it's not a pan, and it's not a pizza. And then these are some information about the accuracy of our test. But this can be done only if they have studied the mathematical part and the overfitting, what the overfitting means, and all the mathematics behind the decision tree classification. The other exercise can be done even on paper or in Excel.
But decision tree, I think, is a very important methodology for the AI creation.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's one of the basic for the AI approach, let's say. So I think it's considered one of the first steps for all the decision.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
Need to all have mature and evaluation.
Yes.
Looking forward. All right. Next question. Enjoy the rest of